Hello, Radicals and Resistance Fighters. My name is TV Skyen, and welcome back to Final Fantasy VI Advance. Because, well, it's better than the SNES version, isn't it? Controversial statement. Anyway, if you remember last time, we made our way through the early parts of the game, got to the Resistance hideout, made the decision to say no a few times. I guess this glitch also happens on loading. To helping the returners out resisting the Empire, because, well, we get a better item that way, and as I argued, we also get a better insight into one of our main characters. And now, we are about to head down a river. And I'm sure that will go perfectly fine, and nothing will go wrong at all. Let's just start by optimizing our equipment, though. Now, I don't have two weapons for Sabin, so there's really... I mean, I just got this Genji glove, but there's kind of no reason to use it yet. I do want silver spectacles on him, though. I do want him to do Knight's Code. There we go. So, there's a... We're fleeing from the Empire, which is approaching us, on a raft down a river. And there is an infinite loop you can get into here, that you can choose to get into, where if you just choose to go down the same path over and over again, you'll just loop endlessly. And you can basically set your party up in a certain way, and then put a controller on turbo, and just leave it for a few days, and you'll be like level 50 when you come back. I usually take advantage of that a little bit, like to just kind of, just get a little boost. We're not going to do that this time. And that might mean that all my strategies for the game after this might be a little bad, because they kind of predicated on me being a much higher level than I'm gonna be, so... This might be the point where I'm just gonna start dying and wiping. So, head towards Narsh, while protecting Banon at all costs. If Banon falls in battle, the journey is over. Okay. So the key to that loop, by the way, if you ever play this game and you want to take advantage of it, is to have Banon in the backline, ask him to pray, which is his special ability, which is a group heal for the entire party for free. A really powerful one, too. It makes it functionally impossible for you to die. So long as you have the Knight's Code on someone, they will be able to protect... Like, if Banon gets low on health and is about to be taken out, they'll be able to presumably, like, fairly... likely to be able to protect him. Which is what you want. Because so long as he never falls, odds are the rest of your party won't either. And of course, as they level up and get more and more powerful, the battles become faster and faster, and you kind of... You know, you don't run the risk of being killed ever again at any point. But as it is, we're going to try, at the very least, to do things honestly. And we'll do the loop a few times just to get some money and gold, but we won't do it more than a few times. I promise. No more than a few. I can quit anytime I want, I swear. I don't have a problem, you have a problem. But yeah, something I talked about last time is appreciating the amount of effort that goes into even minor elements of a game like this. Because, again, everything you see, every animation, every little bit of graphics, all of it comes with a memory cost. And, like, you can't do a 200 gigabyte downloadable extra install file on a game like this. Everything has to fit on the cartridge. Absolutely everything. So it is impressive that the game manages to look as good as it does, and manages to have as much in it as it does when you were dealing with, like, SNES cartridges, which could contain, like, what? How big could an SNES game be? Like a couple of megabytes, maybe? Like, that was it. That was all you had to work with. And checkpoint. So those, like... You look at that animation of, like, rushing water. And the animation of like the water splashing up around the edges of the of this little platform and stuff like that. All of that comes at a memory cost. Like if you want that in there, that's like a kilobyte or two that you have to sacrifice on that. Or maybe like hopefully less than a kilobyte if you can swing it. As we get the save glitch again. And so when you think about how big a game Final Fantasy VI really is, like how much bloody content is in there, how long it is, how many different locations, how many different like places and characters and everything that you run into. This is the loop, by the way. It's astonishing that they managed to put it on an SNES. I've bitten the inside of my cheek by accident. I think I did it when I was eating lunch or something. And it's a little bit swollen. And I keep having to be really careful not to throw my words because my cheek gets in the way. And I keep having to be careful not to bite my cheek also. Which is a bit distressing. But yeah, this is the loop. Like, you're gonna come back to that fork over and over and over again. And you can just say up every single time and you get infinite encounters on an automated loop. Where if you have a turbo controller, you can just let it sit there. And I've heard of people who've gotten themselves to like level 99 that way by just letting it sit there for like a few days. Just running this cycle over and over and over again. And I've heard of people who've actually screwed like their... back in the days of the SNES, who've actually like burned out their SNES by leaving it on for like way too long at a time. Just running and running and running and running this loop over and over and over again. Okay. How many times do I want to loop this? Well, a couple of times. This is the start of the video. I can afford it. I have a little bit of extra time. Also because the encounters that you get here on the river give you actually quite a lot of XP and gold for the area that you're in. And the enemies aren't that dangerous. That's what makes it really attractive. And it's because you have that infinite, constant perma-heal coming out of Banon all the time that makes it completely risk-free, basically. But yeah, we'll do one more loop, and then we'll head on to the... like, you know, actually progress with the game. Just let me indulge myself a little bit. This is grinding. I like grinding. It's one of the reasons why I've never played games like World of Warcraft is because I like grinding, and I know what would happen if I'd gotten into a game where grinding is like really rewarded, or a really important part of like the game design. It's bad. It's addictive for me. That's one of the reasons why I was always interested in World of Warcraft. I was always interested in getting into it, but I was also kind of scared of it because it sounded like something that could really eat your life. And I think even back then, in like, what, 2005? When the hell was World of Warcraft out? Ages and ages ago. Even back then, I was cognizant that, like, that sometimes I played video games not so much to play them, as I did in order to have a repetitive activity that I could do over and over again that gave me some kind of reward. Like, I think I already kind of recognized that in myself a little bit back then. At least I knew enough that, like, I don't want to necessarily get into games and things where that's like a major feature, because I always felt a little bit uneasy about it. And the fact of the matter is that, oh, hey, it's one of the symptoms of my depression is when I get really into games that, like, just repetitively give me a little reward. That's because my brain isn't making enough happy juice on its own, and it needs a little help from outside. And so I gravitate towards grindy games, or just grindy things to do, really. Because they make my brain make the happy juice a little bit, just enough to stave off the depression, and it's easier to sort of allocate the mental resources to do grinding in games than it is to actually, you know, take care of yourself. And that can be very unhealthy, at least for me. Probably for everyone, really. Anyway, almost done with the river section, and that's when one of the really interesting parts of this game comes up. Like a really interesting gimmick. That again is something that they just didn't do until Final Fantasy VI. But which then becomes a recurring motif throughout, like, every goddamn Final Fantasy. Like, they did it in 7, they did it in 8, they did it in 9, they did it in 10. Let's see, where am I? Level 12, 13, yeah, that's good enough. Okay, fine. That's good enough. I'll accept it. I won't grind. I could be wrong, but I also think Final Fantasy VI is like one of the first Final Fantasy games to explicitly, like, include modern music in its soundtrack. Like, I don't remember. I think maybe Final Fantasy V had some ragtime or something in it or something, but like previous Final Fantasy had been very focused on having your classic fantasy soundtrack. You know, like big orchestral scores and strings and brass and woodwind and stuff like that. Like, all simulated on an SNES sound chip, of course, but Final Fantasy VI is the one where, like, for instance, the battle theme. You can hear that distorted guitar coming out of the MIDI, and you can hear, like, you can clearly hear that there's a bass playing, like an electric bass. Like the like it's complete rock guitar or like rock bass riff underlying the battle music, for example. And that's also something that happens in a lot of the environmental music, is that there is like the presence of a much more modern music sensibility in there, alongside your classical compositions and all that stuff, and a lot of references to Bach in a lot of the Final Fantasy VI music and stuff like that, but also that Nobuo Uematsu signature. Let's actually also bring some rock and roll into this, because that's the thing I love. Blues, rock and roll, all that stuff. Which, again, he does much more explicitly in Final Fantasy VII and onward, but it starts here.
Hey, what have we got here?
Ultras.
You're up the creek without a paddle, and I'm not gonna let you through! Does that make me a bad octopus?
A little bit. But not, fortunately, a very powerful one.
Ouch! Seafood soup is not on the menu!
Yeah, he retaliates against magic attacks. Specifically.
Yeah, oh, that's one tasty morsel. I'd love to get my tentacles around her.
Yeah. See, that's why sometimes grinding is actually a little bit worth it. Ow. Oh, god damn it! Of course he uses the AoE attack at the worst possible time.
Muscleheads hate them!
Oh, thank God he got the prayer off. See, this is what I've been talking about with the game. Like, it can be kind of unforgiving if you're not ready to react to one of your characters getting knocked out. think I've got him now, though. Reasonably sure. He's weak to fire, by the way, in case that wasn't clear. There we go. Got him. I guess it got the point. I wouldn't bet on it. It's probably just hiding down there. Yo! Something stuck to my leg. Terra, get away from there. We should be alright now. 8-armed freak! I'm gonna smash it with a blitz! No, Sabin! Out of my way, Edgar! Well, he's always been a bit rash. Sabin. Oh, he'll be fine. Are you sure, Bannon? Sir? You're his brother. You should know better than any of us. Any second now, he'll flop back up onto the raft right as rain. Ah! I think he missed the onto the raft part. Sabin! Sabin! You're on your own now! Yeah. We have split the party. Not entirely intentionally. Edgar and Terra race towards Narsh while protecting Bannon. But what of Sabin, who was swept away by the raging waters? And how is Locke faring after having penetrated the Empire's defenses in South Figaro? Is all going according to plan? Choose a scenario. See, that's something. A little gimmick that this game plays around with. As we get the save glitch once again. Multiple perspectives, multiple different stories all being told concurrently. And we're going to do Sabin last because of some reasons that are going to become clear once we play his story. But the game messes around. Why, I've got something in my eye now. God damn it. Ow. Like I said, the game plays around with these cinematic and much more complicated narrative concept of storytelling. Like, each of these 3 little vignettes can be... You can play them in any order and they make an equal amount of sense, basically. And they all kind of converge back at a certain plot point later on. But that's, again, fitting all that shit onto a cartridge and also just fitting that into a development process and testing it all. And just the ambition of doing stories like this. I find it very impressive. Locke has worked hard to stymie the efforts of Imperial troops in South Figaro, but now he desperately needs to escape. Oh, right, that's why there's a save point down there. I remember now. Damn it! Gotta get to Narshi on the fly. Rich people's homes always have secret passages. You just have to search until you find a place where you can feel a draft. That's why there's a save point down here. I remember now. And also, all of his equipment got removed, so we'd better re-equip it. Yeah, I want the air knife. I do. There we go. Both of them. That's what the Genji glove is for. So this is a bit of a sneak scenario. I've only got myself. There's no other party members that I'm gonna get to help me. At least for some time. Those guys down there, they're gonna kill me in one hit if I get into a fight with them, so I'm not gonna approach those. I don't like strangers. Bring me some cider, and maybe I'll talk to you. Okay, then. Old man wants cider, huh? Stay away from those armored soldiers. They'll kill you just for talking to them. Like I said. Now we've got a ton of money to spend. Fortunately, items, even if equipment isn't shared across everybody, items are. And I can finally... stock up on some important shit. There we go. That should do. You're that infamous thief, Locke, aren't you? Oh, now that was just plain rude. I'm a treasure hunter. And don't you forget it. In the original SNES translation, Locke makes a very, very violent threat in this voice line. Like, I'm gonna wallpaper the room with your lungs. Like, something really terrible. And then you get into a fight with the guy. But since this is a sneaking section... And by the way, I love that merchant character design. Look at that. Like, that's a really great little character design. This is a sneaking section, so we need a disguise. And it would be really nice, Locke, if you could actually help me get one. There we go. Stole his clothes, too. Here we go. They're a little tight, but the price was right. Why do I always have to go and open my mouth? Oh, I remember now. Locke's line in the original translation is, "Call me a treasure hunter, or I'll rip your lungs out." I think that's what he actually says in that version. I'm not buying anything. So the reason why we need a merchant disguise is because there's a certain character who will only let us through a door if we show up as a merchant. Which I should really have done first, just to show you. But yeah, basically, this kit right here will only let you through if you are wearing a merchant disguise. My grandpa used to be a servant for the richest family in town. You're a merchant, right? Okay, go ahead. And that's the only way to get through here and out on the other side of that guy. Let's see. I don't remember if they have new items in the stores. I don't think so. No. Soldiers in the Imperial Army have different ranks. The ones in green are the low-ranking grunts. Those low-ranking soldiers in green loves to start fight, even though they never win. They're so slow you could steal the clothes right off their backs. Hint, 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 hint. Yeah, nothing new in the shops. Okay. And speaking of soundtrack, like, check how much the vibe of the town changes just with the change in sound, you know? I'm not buying anything. I'm not buying anything. Okay, so we seem to be stuck again.
Whatever shall we do about it?
Well, we'll move a little faster for one. There's a lot of slowdown in this section of the game, and I don't know why. It's probably because there's a lot of sprites being rendered. Well, he looks interesting.
What are you doing here? Scram!
But yeah, basically, when you're playing this blind, you basically have to figure out that you have to steal from these particular characters. They're a bit too large, but it didn't charge. That you have to steal from these characters in order to get disguises that can help you move on. And this is, again, not tutorialized at all in any way, shape, or form. You have to figure it out on your own. Or as I did when I was a kid and the internet was a new thing, log on to Game FAQs and find a a walkthrough that would tell me which people to talk to and what to steal. Oh, is my shift up already? Great! I'll go take a break. A detachment should be working its way through to Narish as we speak. We'll be lining up with them soon, or linking up with them, rather. So there's another green grunt there that we can steal from if we need to. It seems our famous Lady General turned traitor. I heard they have her locked up somewhere in this town. Lady General, huh? Oh no, I'm late for my shift guarding the underground passage to the mansion. Oh well, better late than never. Underground passage to the mansion, huh? I heard there are 2 tunnels beneath the northern mansion. One leads to another house, and the other leads out of town.
Fascinating.
Oh hey, that guy dresses similar to another guy. And what's that we've got here? Is that a bottle of cider I see?
Hey, you! Came to steal my cider, did you? You dirty little thief!
So, there's a secret passage inside the house of the rich man that I need in order to get out of town. But in order to get into the house of the rich man, there's a soldier who won't move out of the way no matter what disguise I'm wearing. I wonder if there's anyone in town who might be able to tell me some secret way to get where I need to go. Maybe if I bribe them with a little bit of alcohol. Now that I've gotten the guy up here to move out of the way. And again, I'm going to use the speed walk here a little bit, because... Oof, that slowdown. I can go back to this kid, who will let me through, because I'm a merchant. Who absolutely would not let me through if I was wearing a soldier disguise. And talk to this guy. Ah, cider. Secret passage. Is the channel from here to the mansion in the north end of town? Go downstairs and tell my grandson the password. It's, I forget. The password is... courage, I think. I'll show you the secret entrance. If you get the password wrong, the kid knocks you out and steals your disguise. And you have to start a certain amount of the sequence of stealing various disguises over again. It's rather annoying. But yeah, this whole sequence is basically a process of trial and error and never getting caught by the big armored guys. Don't mind me. No music in here. Interesting, isn't it? I wonder if that's going to be important. These kids are driving me nuts. They keep quiet for 2 minutes? I'm Magitek Armor. Wind the clock. Wind the clock. That was just a jump rope rhyme? And not at all a hint about something that I might need to do in just a second. Oh, what have I done? I betrayed my town to the Empire. All I could think of was the money. Oh, there's one NPC I wanted to talk to. I forgot. Let's just go and do that real quick. The Imperial troops have turned this house into their headquarters. Thanks to our inside informant, this town fell with almost no resistance. Anyway, back into the room. So, previously in the game, you can get some voice lines where they talk about, oh, there's always a nasty draft in this room, and hey, secret passages, you can always hear the wind. They always cause a draft, you see. And that's how you're supposed to find the secret passage in the first place. I, of course, just knew about it from the start, because, again, played this game a lot. And here, depending on which disguise you have, you can get a different voice line, like a little bit later down the line. I'm just going to remove it, because it's a bit tedious. I know I've seen her before. Wait a second, she's one of the Empire's generals. This is what happens to traitors. A Magitech knight forged by the Empire and tempered in battle. None have ever truly known the woman beneath the general's guise. So, the mighty Celis has fallen. Not as far as those who'd use their strength to oppress the weak. Quiet. Kefka's planning to poison every last man, woman, and child in the kingdom of Doma. Shut up! Run that mouth of yours while you still can. Your execution's tomorrow. If I remember correctly, in the original game, one of the guards actually punches her in the stomach. Quite violently. I think they removed that from the, from the GBA version. Because, you know, GBA has to be a little more family-friendly. I could be wrong about that, though. Who knows? Her hands are bound. Remove the bindings, of course. And you are? Name's Locke. I'm with Returners. You're a returner. Or at least I was, General Celis. Now I'm nothing but a traitor. Well, let's get going. You'd take me with you? No, I can barely walk. I'd never make it out of here. I appreciate it, but even if you got me out, you wouldn't be able to protect me. I'm better off waiting here for the executioner. At least that way I'll keep my pride. I'll protect you. Trust me, you'll be fine. Let's go. Wait. This soldier might have something on him that could help us get out of here. There's a clock key in his pocket. Stealing is wrong. What a time to grow a conscience. Take it. Obtained old clock key. Marsupial. And save point. Thank God. And we should also give her some weapons, actually, so she can fight and defend herself. Yeah, she's a rune knight. And save glitch. Thank you. Which, again, is the classes that different characters have that differentiate them across the game. So if you remember when we were here last, this clock was not ticking. But now that we have a clock key, we can wind it up. Like the little girl said, wind the clock, wind the clock. Another secret passage, huh? Thank God we've escaped. We couldn't possibly get caught by anything or anyone down here at all. There's absolutely no way. We are secret, we are safe. And everything's going to be completely... Oh. I was trying to, like, surely I'm gonna get an encounter soon, and then this will be a very funny joke. It took a while. But yeah, those Vector Hounds, they run when they're the only enemy left on the screen. And there's a lot of enemies in this game that are just like that, just like, they just do certain things under certain circumstances. Like these enemies, for example, when there's only one of them left, that one will do a special attack, if I remember correctly. Or is that another one? I guess we'll find out. Yeah, there it is. Desperate Strike, which does extra damage and hits twice. And there's a lot of enemies like that in this game that are just like, they have different conditions that make them do different stuff. And it can be really hard to, an important part of even grinding in this game can be to learn those patterns and know them and understand them. And as you'll notice, Terra has magic. And that's a very exceptional part of her. Celis also has magic. I wonder how she came by those powers.
I wonder if that's going to be an important thing in the game, maybe somehow.
But yeah, this is an extremely secret passage hidden behind a wind-up clock key and all kinds of stuff that is also full of enemies somehow, for some reason. Those little weird inconsistencies of old JRPGs, you know? Like, it would be one thing if I was fighting, like, giant rats or, like the weird creatures that hide in basements or something. That would be one thing. But I'm like, they're enemy soldiers. Like, they have found me. And yet somehow nobody raises the alarm. I guess because we kill everyone and dogs can't really raise the alarm, can they? Wait, there's earrings. There's one more chest I need to find. Is that over here? Now, it's possible to kill that dog before it escapes, but usually you don't. Yeah, there it is. With another random encounter to go along with it. Okay, let's try and actually... just for fun... Damn it. Because sometimes you can get both of them. There's no special reward for that, by the way. There's, like, you don't get anything for killing both of them. Other than more experience and more gold, but... I just wanted to see if I could. Why are you helping me? You remind me a lot of someone. What's it matter anyway? I'm helping you because I want to. So now here... I could do grinding, but it would be kind of pointless. But one thing I will do... I can't go to the inn and heal, restore health, but I can go to Sabin's old house and have myself a little lie down and recover my health that way. And that, again, is if you want to grind here, there's always the option of free health recovery there. But we need to make our way to Narsh. And so we will. That means going back through the caves. And still not opening any of the treasure chests. But new enemies are there. And they hit hard. And that's why you might want to grind a little bit before coming here. And again, if I had used the loop back on the river, then Locke wouldn't have gotten any of the experience. He would still be like level 11 or whatever. But Celis, her level depends on the average level of the rest of your playable characters. So if I'd gotten... Ooh, rumbles. If I'd gotten all of those to higher levels, then she too would have had a massive power boost and been completely overpowered for this section. But I didn't, so I have to play it straight. And get poisoned. God damn it. And this is where the Genji glove is kind of important to have. Because it allows Locke to do, like, do one-hit kills on enemies. Which, when you only have two characters to work with, can be kind of important for not having battles be overwhelming. I wonder what that sound means. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of grinding in the cave. Not a lot, but a little, because I'm gonna need it for the section that comes up after this. Plus, if we stretch this out to about an hour, or at least 50-something minutes, I'm gonna... What is that noise? It's a boss fight, just in case anyone was wondering. That's what that noise is. That's not great. Okay, let's see. You... Smack that thing. And you... There we go. Okay, that should be manageable. There we go. Free healing spring. So, grind time. Boy, why? Just a little bit. 'Cause it's gonna be necessary. Oh, I'm gonna have to cure that poison. Fortunately, poison doesn't hurt very much. It's not a very dangerous status ailment, but as you can see, every time you take a step, it hurts you. By the way, that turtle there, it might just seem like a random sprite floating around in a cave that has no substantial significance, but it's actually being set up. It's going to be an important part of the game later that... Well, important. It's going to be a transitory little thing. It's going to matter later. Which I think is just kind of impressive that like, when they were setting up the story, that they had time to kind of worry about that kind of thing. But we'll comment on that by the time we get to it. It's going to be a while. Oh, it'd be great if you could stop poisoning me. That would be fantastic. Okay, the experience gain is pretty good, so I should be able to get them both to level 13, maybe 14. And yeah, like I've said many times, probably at this point, the necessity for grinding is something I don't mind that modern JRPGs have kind of gotten rid of. But there's also an extent to which is a bit of a pity, because the grind can be enjoyable. Like, learning enemy attacks and weaknesses and, like, figuring out ways to beat them in efficient ways. That stuff, to me, is something that I really miss from modern JRPG design, especially, like, where a lot of the gameplay a lot of the time is much more focused around, like, it's less focused around learning enemies and, like, figuring out weaknesses and testing out different abilities until you find something that's super effective, and more about you have, like, a core combat loop of some kind where, like, a series of commands that you need to execute, and you need to do that optimally, and then you do optimal damage, and then it's just kind of about, like, I'm thinking especially of something like Xenoblade's Chronicles, which is very like that. I feel like it's very much more about the act of queuing up commands rather than discovery about the enemies that you're fighting, which is something I've really liked about Monster Hunter, for example, is that game very specifically has a focus on, you need to learn your enemy. Like, you need to fight the monster and get your ass kicked a few times until you learn its attack pattern so you can start to dodge it and have some, like, efficient battle strategies for it and stuff like that. And that's something that modern JRPGs don't do so much. Like, they don't like asking players to grind at all. So instead, they'll ask players to learn a series of game mechanics. And the grind is going to be in eventually mastering those and adding more and more stuff onto them as the game goes, like more and more mechanics, more and more concepts and ideas. And again, I don't think it's a bad thing that JRPGs have kind of shifted towards that. I think you make perfectly good games out of that. It's just, I'm kind of missing the stuff that made this game work. I wish that was still around more, rather than being kind of niche, rare thing that you maybe get sometimes if you're lucky. Okay, let's see. One more level up. Get them to 13. That should only take a couple of fights. Excellent. Then we'll do the boss fight, and then we will end this episode here. But yeah, I've been recording the 3 first episodes of this little series all at once in one go. Cause that's just, like, I have 3 hours available for recording gameplay right now. So I decided to spend them and sort of build up a little bit of a buffer. But it does give me the disadvantage of having no idea how anyone has reacted to this series, like, at this point. Like, when this goes out, it'll be the 3rd video, like, along the 3rd day, and I'll have no idea how anyone is reacting to it. which is a little weird, because I'm so used to on the main channel, all the videos, I record a video and then I pretty much upload it the same day. So there's always been that very immediate feedback, and it's a little bit weird to get even a little bit of distance, like, involved in that relationship. Hey, stop. That's a rare status effect. I didn't actually know that thing could do that. I didn't know it could inflict stop. Okay, one more fight and Locke should be leveled up. But yeah, you can maybe tell that I've been using my voice a lot for the last 3 hours. And that's because I'm recording these all in one go, and tomorrow I'm gonna record a whole bunch of Monster Hunter all in one go. I hope. I hope I will. I'm gonna try and make time for it anyway. And let that go up on the channel over time. Now, boss fight! What is that? Something's coming through the wall! And here we get an explanation of Celis' mechanic. You might have wondered about it. Tunnel armor! If that thing hits us with its magic, they'll be scrubbing 2 big scorch marks off the wall. So what are we supposed to do? Don't worry. I'll draw its magic with my runic blade. And you'll be okay? Just you watch. Runic. That's Celis' special ability. And it basically does that. It draws any spell that the enemy casts towards her and turns it into MP for her. Which is stupid powerful against certain bosses. Because you can basically prevent them from attacking altogether if you are able to get the runic off before they do. And so there's strategies that involve, like, putting haste on Celis to specifically make her just a runic bot that just kind of sucks up all the boss's attacks and makes them completely harmless. Oof, drill. That one hits hard. Now, this game actually has limit breaks of a sort. Like, the characters do have special attacks that they can use under certain circumstances, but it's only when they're at low health, and there's some other... I think there's like a luck mechanic that plays in, like, specifically with some stats of the character that play into whether or not they'll be able to activate that special ability. It's called a desperation attack because it only happens when your character is in a desperate situation. I have never seen one. I don't... Well, no. I remember seeing Locke's once, I think. I saw it once because it's so random whether it gets activated or not. And it only happens when you're at low health. And I am always so fucking careful to stay at high health. Whew. Looks like we're finally in the clear. And that's the end of Locke's scenario. So I think, hopefully, the next video can be about clearing both the trio and Sabin's scenario. But that is going to have to wait. And I'm just going to thank you very much for watching along with me. Well, watching me play, at least, Final Fantasy VI. And I hope that this is something that people are finding moderately entertaining, because if it is, I'm going to keep doing it. So, like, comment, and subscribe. Those are good ways to show your approval. And the dislike button if you have disapproval. I have a tip jar, I have a Patreon, I have a merchandise store. All of that down in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you for another hour of Final Fantasy VI in the next video.